This is Fraud to Fearless.
Friends, you are made for more purpose, more confidence, more impact. Because when you live fearless, you inspire others to do the same.
Let's go!
Brooke, who do you think is a better delegator, me or you?
You.
Really?
Definitely you.
Say
Definitely
more.
you.
Say more.
The reason why is because, okay, I'm thinking back to, it's actually very hard for me to delegate because the perfectionism
Mm-hmm.
and the people pleasing elements
Yes.
that I've worked so hard on come together and they have a party. So think about back to the beginning of when we started this podcast and even how I got fired from editing the episodes, right? Sometimes I can't listen to our own episodes because I'm so stressed about it. But just delegating that, I mean, it's a relief when that happens that I'm like, okay, I don't have to worry about that piece, but I don't know, like if I want it to be a certain way, then it's really hard for me to delegate and like trust somebody else to do that, you know?
Yeah. For those of you listening, there was an episode. So when I started editing, Brooke started editing first because she knew all the tools and she can learn all this technical stuff much faster than I can. But then ultimately, we both, but mostly led by me, had to fire Brooke from editing because perfectionism, and I was more efficient in the editing. But normally our practice was I would edit the episode and then I would send it to Brooke for like a quick, she would do like 1.5x or 2x listening. And y'all, she caught like everything. So there's one episode that's on YouTube that at the end, when it goes to our audio clip ending, like the whoosh noise, there's like a picture of my face that sneaks in. So go try to find it. And if you find which episode it is, shoot us a note. We'll send you a Fearless journal. But yeah, I think delegating's hard, Brooke. Do you know when the first time in your career was that you actually started delegating? Did you
Actually
do any in
delegating,
grad school?
like how would you actually define delegating? Because
You were
would
telling
you,
someone what to do.
but okay, if you tell somebody what to do and then they go and do it, you get it back and then you redo all of it,
Nope.
is that still considered delegating?
No, that is what I imagine your version of delegating was at the beginning of your delegation journey.
I've learned so much about delegating. It's horrible. Like really, really, it's really bad, but it's so important in the leader. Otherwise you can't do it all. You can't have a team if you don't delegate correctly.
Yeah. No, I remember for me, as in corporate America, it is very normal to spend the first 5-10-ish years of your career being an individual contributor. So you don't have a team reporting to you. But when you work for these big companies, you will fail if you do everything by yourself. So you have to be able to delegate or ask people for help and influence people that don't report to you, which is really tough. Because for those of you listening that have or have not been a people leader before, if people are reporting to you directly, you're literally picking their performance rating. You pick their annual merit increase. You pick their bonus. You have a lot of power. You're the number one person that they need to satisfy and to make sure that you're happy with my performance. So if they ping you, normally the fastest responses are to your manager, right? Because they fill out your performance review. But it is very difficult to delegate and influence sideways or up or down to people that do not report to you. And so, Brooke, my first example of this was when I first started getting involved in Utah State recruiting for Honeywell. I had a good relationship with the prior campus manager before me. And so she trusted me and like gave me a lot of ownership of part of the recruiting process. And so, but I had a lot of responsibility and accountability to drive all the recruiting practices, plan all the events, do all the work, get all the materials ready, all that stuff. And I needed help. And so I would like set up these calls with my peers, and a lot of them were more senior than me, but I was responsible. And so I would set up these calls and essentially just ask, all right, who wants to do this? And that's dangerous because what if you hear crickets? Because then it's like, again, I'm not the manager. So it's like, if you hear crickets, I really struggle, Brooke, when there's quiet time. Like if someone asks for a volunteer and then they just stop and no one says anything, my response rate is like wicked fast. Probably faster than most other humans. I'm like, "Oh, I'll do it." And it's like, "Whoa, dude, you've signed up like 16 times in a row." But it's like, "Yeah, but no one else was saying anything." I really struggle
That
with that.
pressure, there's pressure to volunteer yourself.
It's like, "I'll just do it." And I think that "I'll just do it" attitude is very difficult with delegation because the whole point is to ensure that there are realistic expectations, that people know what they need to do, they know that they're accountable, and they have the tools and the knowledge to be able to carry out the task that they're now accountable for doing. And if you just end up doing it, then they're going to be like, well, why are we both doing it? I just won't do it.
It's the destruction of a high-performing team if you don't know what you own and I don't know what I own and we don't understand how that works together, and
Yeah.
then resentment builds. Resentment happens when there are expectations that don't get met and then there's not communication about it. So yeah, it can turn into a huge mess
Yeah.
fast.
It really can. And the flip of that is getting too comfortable delegating, where either you don't do anything yourself as a leader, so your team sees you as you order people what to do, but you actually can't do the job yourself. In some cases, that actually might be the case. Um, but I think you just need to navigate, like telling all the people to like write your emails for them, and stuff like that. It's like, I think you also need to, I think there's a reward and recognition piece, Brooke, that when you delegate, make sure that you celebrate people that are going above and beyond. Like, you can't just delegate and just be like bossy, Like, there needs to be some charisma, there needs to be some flow, there needs to be some give and take. When you give feedback, right? We need to consider like the person, like, how do you deliver the feedback when it comes back and it's not good at all?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because so here's what I'm experiencing right now. When I have new people join my team, and I think part of being a good leader and how this ties into delegation is you genuinely care about their personal development. Like, what are their goals and dreams? How are they wanting to personally develop in this role? If I can understand what skill sets they're wanting to, as a leader, if I can understand what skill sets they're wanting to develop, where their dreams are, what they're hoping to do, is there a way with all of the work that has to be done, that we have to work on as a team, can I tailor that to give assignments out that help support some of those goals and dreams, or tweak things in a way that helps them build that skill? And it's a tricky balance because it's like there are things that we have to do and we have to get done. And then there's hopes and dreams and development. How can I blend those together? It's like this art to try to do that as a leader. And if you can master that piece with delegation, it makes the whole process of working together even more beautiful because it's fulfilling on both sides, hopefully.
Yeah.
Hey, quick break. If Fraud to Fearless has made you think feel, or reflect a little deeper, you're officially part of the family. Hit subscribe on the podcast, follow us on YouTube and socials, or leave a review. It really helps us to reach more people who need these conversations. As a thank you, you guys, we're randomly selecting a few of our founding followers to receive some free swag. It's just our way to say we see you and we're grateful. Don't miss out. Subscribe, share, and follow along the journey at Fraud to Fearless because you belong here. Back to the pod.
What what is your opinion? I think in a perfect world, your delegation and task assignments would align with your team's career goals and objectives and what they want to spend their time working on. But we don't live in a perfect world, and those two things don't necessarily align all the time. So, which one wins in your mind?
Which one wins? You know, and maybe this is just me being super optimistic, but so far I've been able to find some kind of creative tie-in to each point. But
Mhm.
if not, I mean, maybe that's a little ambitious. There's this pro-social purpose element that I feel like comes into team building,
Mhm.
where if there is a purpose that's greater than ourselves, or we see how the work that we're doing is tied to a benefit, even if
Mm.
I'm not necessarily building my dream skills or I'm not doing tasks that I like, but the outcome, I can see the vision for the work that I'm doing, how that's impacting somebody else, whether that be a business or a customer, an individual, whatever else it is, then I can still find fulfillment in it. So I think that question for me, maybe it's a cop out, ties more into like the team building aspect and how to build a high performing team. I don't know, but what do you think? What one wins?
I think at the end of the day, we're here to do a job. And so I agree with you, and I love your leadership politician response there. And like all kidding aside, I do think you're right. I do think no matter what, you can find alignment between the job that the employee, the person has to do, and the intent, like the desires and the development plan of the employee individual. I think you can always make some sort of alignment. But at the end of the day, when you're running an organization, everyone is hired to do a job. They have a job. It it could be super clearly defined or vague, but you have a job to do and you have to do that job. If you do that job and you do that job well, it is now the organization and really your manager's responsibility to make sure that you are celebrated, you're rewarded, you're recognized, and you are put in an environment that enables you to grow, to solve more complex, larger scale problems, but also have those problems tie to where you want to spend your time, to where you want to grow into your career. So I do think that there's alignment there. The corporate part of
Yeah,
me wants to say that no, doing your job wins, but managers have to get creative and you have to, it's the polarities that we've talked about, right? I need to reduce costs, but I also need to grow, right? Like I need to grow the team, grow the business, but I have to spend less money than I did last year. Those two conflict on the surface. You need your team to get their job done, but you also need to make sure that they have a development plan and they're spending time how they want to,
it's
and
so
growing in
tricky.
the areas that they want.
It's so tricky. It's hard because it is a delicate balance. And it's funny, immediately when you say that in a corporate America context, yes. And I'm not saying it doesn't apply to entrepreneurship. I think that's where my weak point is, right? Because in my mind, a lot of the reasons why I quit my job was because, like, if you can't find alignment there, then you look for something else that does align. And so as a leader, the trick is what keeps people on teams is that they're feeling that fulfillment. So as a leader, I have to try to find those connection points or I'm going to lose
Mm.
people. I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
lose people. When I started onboarding people and I realized that I had to get better at delegation and how horrible I am at it, I started looking into, okay, what are the skill sets of delegation? Like what is the process of it and how can I actually start implementing that because I know that I'm not good at it. And there's 4 steps to
Tell
delegation that
us.
I want to share. Okay,
Tell
should we
us.
jump into that?
Do it.
Okay. So from what I've been studying to help improve my delegation process, there's 4 steps. I'm going to tell you high level and then we can dive into whichever ones you think are interesting.
Okay.
The first one is investigation. That's the first step. The second step is informed progress. The third step is informed results. And the fourth step is complete ownership. So these are the phases to effectively delegate something. I think we've probably all had experiences where sometimes you just get thrown in the deep end. It's like, okay, here's your role. Good luck. And like you
Yep.
have complete ownership from the get-go. And there's a lot of learning that happens in that process, but there's also a lot of breaking that can happen. And there's so many different scenarios, right? According to what this particular research went through, that this is the art of delegating, that it will be the smoothest transition possible. And I'm curious if you think you agree. So the first step would be if I'm going to go delegate a task as a leader for the first time, the person that I'm delegating the task to, they have to have some kind of baseline. They, in order to start to understand, they have to go out and start investigating. So usually this looks like some kind of research on their end. And then they come back and summarize their finding. So they're in charge of creating this new compensation package, right? Go out and study about research. What is being done in the industry? What's happening here? Or, okay, we want to grow our social media. The first thing, and I'm going to delegate social media to somebody. They have to go and investigate, research about that area to get some kind of baseline of what this is about. That's step 1.
Okay.
Step 2, informed progress. So this means you delegate a specific task and then they check in with updates at specific milestones. So this is like the hand-holding side. Okay. And I think some people are afraid of this part. At least I am in my mind, because I don't want to be the micromanager. I want to show people I trust you, go and do it. I want you to develop and grow. But knowing and understanding that this is a phase and when that's communicated, this is going to be the hand-holding piece. You're going to go do this task. When you've done this part of the task, come back and let's reevaluate. This part is so important that I found personally, Hayden, because when I skip this step and I just give something to somebody, then they come back and they've built this whole thing that
You're
was
not
literally
aligned.
not anything that I wanted. So then
Yeah.
what happens? Either I have to have a difficult conversation or I'm just like, I'm going to do it myself, and or everything has to be redone. They're upset, I'm upset. It's just a horrible process. So the informed progress and hand-holding piece, I think, is so important. So
Yeah.
important.
It's like that game when we played when we were kids where a whole bunch of people sit in a circle and you whisper a sentence in someone's ear and you pass it all the way around and then you read the first one and the second one. And so like the example is the red fire truck stopped to get gas and it ends up being like the blue raven flew over the grocery store or something. Like it's like not even the same words are used, but it's just like just one time and not being able to ask questions leads to misalignment instead of giving regular process updates, making sure there's some sort of confirmation that you and the person you're delegating to are on the same page. If you don't have that, you will not get what you're asking for.
Yep, exactly. So, informed progress. Step number 3 is informed results. So once you start to get on the same page and they're like, "Yep, you're seeing that this informed progress is working out. They're doing the things. It's all aligned at the milestone check-ins." Now, you're going to give them a task and they when they come back to you, they're just bringing you the finished outcome. They're not giving you updates in between until it's done. That's when they bring you the results, informed results. So they've been exercising that muscle and there's a little more leeway, right? Just come back, tell me what the results are. That's
Mm-hmm.
step 3. Now, if you can get to step 3, then you're on track for the 4th step, which is the dream, because you're literally creating a productive, high performance team. You've created the machine
Mm-hmm.
where they now can have complete ownership. You trust them. They understand exactly what's expected of them. There's been communication the whole time. You assign a task or a project. You don't need any further reporting. They got it. And at that point, I feel like that's true leadership, to be able to develop and trust that process. But this is so hard because it takes time. I think like sometimes for me, I'm just like, I just want to quickly delegate this. But it's a process of learning, growing, developing together. Like there's so much to this. So that's the 4 steps, Hayden.
Super helpful. When you first read them, the names are interesting. So when you first said the 4 steps of delegating is investigation, informed progress, informed results, and complete ownership, I was confused. I was like, is this even the right topic? Like, am I in the wrong podcast? But walking through was actually super helpful. And I think that template and that phased approach of the different steps of delegating is very helpful. I am trying to think if I can think of any examples of complete ownership existing in corporate America.
Yeah, tell me.
And I don't think it does.
Even
Like,
at the highest level, like think about the highest next to the CEO, that they get assigned a task and project and it's just like it happens. Obviously there's going to be reporting like it's been completed, here was the results.
yeah.
But
I mean, in corporate America, even the CEO reports to the board of directors and they have to come every quarter and do earnings release and go through all the financial statements and give a progress update. So, it, is that really complete ownership? Like, I don't think if we're honest, philosophically, I don't think complete ownership exists in corporate America.
that's so tricky. And how interesting, because we literally just talked about ownership within leadership. So ownership in the sense of like I don't answer to anybody else is what you mean.
Yeah. I mean, do you feel, because you've experienced both corporate America and now running your own show in entrepreneurship, do you feel like you, with yourself, are at complete ownership?
I mean, in the sense of like if I don't do whatever, it doesn't happen. Or what?
Let me rephrase. So the way I want you to think about this question is almost like there's 2 Brooks. So like the entrepreneur working part of Brooke reports into the work-life relationships Brooke. So like just
Uh,
your work you is the entrepreneurship side. Cuz like let's call it for what it is. If your business fails, eventually you'll have to go get a job somewhere,
yeah,
right? Like that could
yeah,
happen. And
yeah.
so the work life relationships Brooke that owns everything and owns the decisions. You're the chairwoman of the board, and your CEO is the entrepreneurship version of Brooke. Eventually, the board chair would have to tell the entrepreneur, "All right, nope, we're pulling the plug on this." So, like, do you feel like you have complete ownership?
That's an interesting question. I mean, technically, with how you phrase it that way, but it's confusing me because it's both me. You know what I mean? I
Yeah,
get what you're saying though. I get what you're saying though. I think back to what makes a good leader and ownership. Maybe we can tweak the definition of what that means, right? Ownership in the sense of what does complete ownership actually mean? It means at the end of the day, I'm trusted to complete a task that I have the vision, the resources, the execution, the decision-making capabilities to be able to do that thing. I don't have to ask permission to go get it done or to do these things. I'm out within my stewardship, within my bounds of what my role and my job is entitled. I can execute on that and not feel worried about it.
yeah.
Like I make the decision. I make the if I want to run retreats, how X amount of retreats this year, if I want to run um whatever it is, I get to decide that. I decide the number because I have that kind of ownership.
My sister studied philosophy, and I think she would have a field day with complete ownership in business, just because there's complete ownership and you can run this project how you want. But at the end of the day, everything in business is about numbers. Everything in business is about gains, investment, making sure you get more than you put in. There's growth, there's a return. And if the numbers are bad, eventually you will lose the ability to have complete ownership or you'll be removed from the role. And so it just an interesting philosophical debate to think about. For those of you listening, what do you think? Do you think that complete ownership exists in corporate America? Do you think if you run your own business, are you really in charge? Do you really completely own that experience as an entrepreneur? Fascinating to think about.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's fascinating. And I think it goes down 2 paths for me because there are things that I can't own, like outcome-wise, or you can't control other people to a certain extent, right? So it's like that's where from a spiritual perspective, faith comes in. I'm like, I put that in God's hands with my dreams. But that's a whole nother topic, right?
Yeah. Uh, One thing, Brooke, that I think is a superpower for you, and we've talked a lot off camera about delegating, and you've referenced a little bit in this episode that you were not great starting, and you've really had to build that muscle and develop that skill set. But for the interns, and we just recently onboarded 4 interns that are going to be working on Fraud to Fearless. So we've got the team is expanding, but you have an incredible system. And I think whether you're in corporate America or an entrepreneur and you are struggling to track tasks, activities, uh, manage projects, like navigate work passing hands from one person to the other, Brooke has an incredible system that I think would be valuable that we use on the pod. So, Brooke, what do you say? Do you want to just share your screen and show us your Brooke magic?
Oh my goodness. Okay. Yes, I can do that. I should give some context though, Hayden. This is not something that I've invented. I mean, I learned this from people way smarter than me, and I'm forever grateful because it's changed the whole way that I look at work. And actually, we got some exposure to this in grad school a little bit, but didn't realize at the time. I can't remember if you were on my team for this group project, actually. But when I started out working in HR and then I moved into working in the business, I worked on a team as a decision science analyst, and my team was brilliant. If you work on any kind of in tech and you're working on building out any kind of dashboarding features or whatever it is, there's a particular way that they'll work on things to track how the work is done and make sure that everything's aligned so that you're rolling things out on time, that if this project impacts this project, which one's getting done, where are the dependencies, all of these things. So I was introduced to this whole new world of task management and how you did this kind of a thing. And it was incredible how effective our team was at executing on the things that we wanted to do. Everybody knew what was expected of them. We knew what was tied to what. And if there were issues or blockers, it was just so clear because we could all see it. So we used a system called Rally, and there's so many different things. But when I moved into my role as building my own business and trying to track all of the million things that I wanted to do, then I used a tool, kind of like Kanban style board called Trello. So let's see if I can.
Real quick, for those that don't know, Kanban, I imagine, isn't a super well-known term. Toyota invented it, but essentially, when you think about what it takes to create a car, so many hundreds of people have to actually work on something to build the car. So like at any Honeywell manufacturing plant, when you walk into the real bread and butter of us actually making widgets and products like in the factory, you'll see labels, you'll see organization, you'll see visual boards, you'll see like a SKU number, and you'll see like where it is in the process, and like everything is tracked. So from start to finish, the organization of this gigantic factory. So essentially Kanban is the different messages and like indicators and visual identification things to identify where a product is, where it's supposed to go, what's next, who's working on it, stuff like that. So what you're saying, Kanban, you'll show us more in this Trello board, but it's an easy way for everyone to come to a central repository of work that's happening right now. What's the next step? Who's on it? And then what's the status? So is it in progress? Is it complete and needs review? Is it done?
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. So they've adopted that in the tech world, and you'll find that in all tech teams. You'll have project managers that are pros at this. So this is an example of what our Kanban board is for Fraud to Fearless. So Hayden, let me explain kind of what this board looks like. And for those of you that are listening, I'll just describe it. But if you want a visual, you'll have to hop on YouTube and you can see I'm sharing the actual Trello board that we have for our incredible interns this semester. So on the left-hand side, we have something called features, and you can think about these as projects. So we have different buckets of projects that the different tasks will go into. Now, when we have our like quarterly planning, I like to, with my team on Steward of My Life, I like to plan out, okay, what are all of the tasks that we're going to be completing? What are big bucket things that Q1 we want to get done? And then how do we break that out into all of the steps that it's going to need to take to be successful? What blockers are we expecting to come up? What dependencies are there in order to execute on this project that might be tied to something else? When does that have to be done? How do we prioritize and organize? So it's important to get clear on the features that need to get done. And then, as you can see, this backlog is for all of the items that aren't assigned yet. So this will pile up with all of the lists of tasks that aren't currently in the queue to like, okay, we're working on this. We have a section that's called to do. So that's the current work. And usually with tech teams, you'll see that they'll work in something called sprints. And those are typically 2-week period of time. How much work can we get done in 2 weeks? And that's how we assign and divvy up the work. It's kind of the magic number, and there's reasoning behind that. So the to-do is the list of all the work that we think we can get done in 2 weeks. And once one of us starts to work on one of those things, it then gets moved into in progress. And once it's done, it gets moved into done. And there's different tags you can put on there to be reviewed by somebody, or things that are blocked you can discuss through. So, Hayden, this is kind of the high level of the basic structure of what a Trello board does and how I like to track work.
I love it. This has been super helpful for us. I mean, if you think about me and Brooke, 2 hours apart, have other stuff going on, 4 interns. This is one tool. There's other tools like Trello, right? But this is just what we use. But it's a tool that all of us can go in, track what is everyone's job that they have to do, who's working on what's the status. It gives you a task list of completed work that you can move, like this is done, but it needs review. And I think this is a super helpful way. So like if you're listening to this, and whether you're corporate America or entrepreneur, and you're like, I'm struggling to document what I need to do, what I've done, what needs review. Maybe you just started working with other people and you're outsourcing some of the work. Give Trello a shot and use this episode. Go watch on YouTube. And Brooke, literally, we're showing you the actual tool and like the flow of work. But I think this is a really great way to delegate. And then, Brooke, this influences meetings. So like we've talked about MOS, management operating system. How do you spend your time, right? And I think this is a great way to, like, depending on how this is, if you do 2-week sprints, then every 2 weeks you'll do a review, right? And then whoever completed that task will have to present on what they did. And I think that really helps you kind of minimize meetings and then also concentrate on who's doing what. And that also, as a leader, can give you an indication and visibility on, is everyone doing the same? Does someone else have capacity? If new work or new activities get added to the plate in the backlog, who does that get assigned to? Like this, it's really a helpful tool and has a lot of different uses. So I thought it'd be valuable to share.
Yeah, thanks, Hayden. It's been, I think it's been a game changer. I'm so grateful for being able to learn that. And I wished, like, man, I want everybody to learn this, not just people that are working in tech and building out these digital tools, but I think it's useful in regular day-to-day life. Like, it keeps you accountable.
Yeah. Um, all right. So for those of you listening, we would love to know, is delegating easy? Is it hard? Are you good at it? And if you are good at it, how did you get that good? Because Brooke and I would love to learn. So anyway, y'all, that's delegation. I think it's an super important skill in leadership, and I think it's something that we're all going to have to influence. So for now, y'all, that's the pod.